So I've been collecting watches for over 25 years now, and I could remember a time when you could walk into a Rolex AD, buy a Rolex at a discount, and walk out that day with your watch. There was no side eye from any of the people that were working there. You didn't pay over retail, and they were actually nice to you. They wanted to sell you a watch. If you had told me back then that people would be paying over double retail for a Rolex, that there were wait lists, and that they would have no watches in their stores to actually sell you, I would have thought you were crazy. However, if you also said to me that there would be a $400 version of the 50 Fathoms made out of plastic, I would have slapped you in the face, because that would be impossible. However, today we have the Blancpain 50 Fathoms Swatch collaboration, and it is made out of bioceramic. Bioceramic is just a fancy way of saying plastic. But today I have one of the best bioceramic 50 Fathoms to show you guys, or the Thrifty Fathoms as a lot of people call it. That is the Ocean of Storms. This actually looks a lot like a 50 Fathoms. There's actually a specific 50 Fathoms that I'm referring to. It's in 45 millimeters. I'll throw a picture of that watch up. It's basically an all black version of the 50 Fathoms. However, this is still a Swatch collaboration, so that means it's made out of bioceramic. It is a plastic 50 Fathoms, but it's the best looking of the bunch in my opinion. Now, some people will say that's like saying it's the best looking turd out of the bunch, and yes, I could see where you might be coming from if you want to say that. But let's talk about this watch. Let me talk about why I think it's actually pretty cool. I don't regret buying it. I was walking past the Swatch store here in New York City on 5th Avenue. I walked in, they had this available. A lot of these watches are now available in Swatch stores, still not available online. One of the biggest gripes that I think a lot of people have about these watches. But this watch isn't all that bad. It is 42 millimeters, so the case is 42 millimeters. You're getting that domed crystal on that bezel. It looks really good. It looks the part. You also have a domed boxed crystal on the watch itself. It is a mineral crystal. They say it's made out of recycled materials. I believe it is a mineral crystal. I haven't had one scratch on me yet. However, obviously these can scratch. I believe you do get a sapphire crystal on the back on these, and that's because you do get that horrible strap that it comes on. It is made out of recycled materials, but I just think that they've chosen really ugly colors and ugly styles for the NATO straps that they come on. So that is really something that needs to be replaced immediately. I have this one on an Artham strap, which is really a great sailcloth strap, but it's kind of crazy because it almost costs about half the value of the watch, and that's something that you need to make a decision on. These are great straps, and I think they really work well with these 50 Fathoms or Thrifty Fathoms, in my opinion. I actually have all of mine on these straps. Now, like I was saying, this is a 42 millimeter watch with a 47.5 millimeter lug span and a 14 millimeter thickness. This wears smaller and nicer than that version that I just showed you, that 45 millimeter version in black. Speaking of, the dial on here is also black. So the black dial on here is actually a sunburst dial. It has a little bit of a yellowish orange accent. The 91 meters at the bottom, that is in orange. Obviously this is 50 Fathoms. That's why it's 91 meters water resistance. There is a lot going on this dial. It says Blancpain and Swatch, but in general, I think that there's just a few things that could be removed that would make it better that really don't make any sense. I don't know why they put scuba on this dial. I get the water resistance, I get the 50 Fathoms, I think those things need to be there, but why does scuba need to be there? They should just remove that. Obviously, they're not going to remove Swatch. If they did, then this would just be a 50 Fathoms made out of plastic, so obviously they're not going to remove that, but I wish they made it a little bit smaller. That would be helpful, but the scuba definitely can go. This gets a sunburst dial with white indices and white hands. I think this is actually pretty legible, more legible than the 50 Fathoms that comes in all black. So again, when comparing this directly to the watch that sells for around $12,000 on the secondary market, this is a little bit more legible and a little bit more wearable because of its size. Now the System 51, we can argue all day about this watch. and the movement inside this watch, the System 51, it's not a great movement. It's not very accurate. I'll throw up a video of this watch on my time grapher. It jumps around. It's not great. But again, this is a watch and this is a movement that is meant to be disposable, specifically the movement. Now these do get snap-on case backs. I'm not able to prove that because I haven't taken a knife to the back of one of my watches and popped off the back. But I know if these do break, Swatch will probably just replace the watch. If it's under warranty, Swatch will probably just replace the watch. If it's out of warranty, there's probably nothing you can do about it, except for replacing the entire movement with another System 51 movement. And I'm not sure if they're actually supplying those, so that's a big question currently. However, I like to bring up, and I've brought this up in other videos, if you own a Seiko and you have a 4R movement inside and that 4R goes bad, they're not repairing that 4R movement if you send it back to Seiko. They're just taking that 4R movement out, they're tossing it, and they're putting another one in. And unless it's something really simple to fix, they're not gonna actually fix it. They're just gonna replace the movement because those movements are meant to be basically disposable as well because they are very cheap movements. That goes for Miyota 8 series as well and a number of other movements in that category. This is typical for a watch around this price range, and that's just the way it is. That's the same thing for a lot of quartz movements as well. They just get tossed into a bin and then they are replaced with a new quartz movement. So people are really getting bent out of shape that these cannot be serviced, but that is really not that big of a deal. Now, I've said this a million times, this Ocean of Storms makes no difference. This is not an everyday watch. However, when it comes to looks, I think this is the best Swatch collaboration that they have made yet. Out of all of them, including the Moon Swatch, this looks the most like a 50 Fathoms. Again, I'll throw up that picture side by side with that 50 Fathoms. This looks a lot like it, especially if you put it on an Artham strap, a sailcloth strap like the one that I have it on. It looks very much like a 50 Fathoms. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. 400 bucks, you are getting a bioceramic case. You're not getting a sapphire crystal on the front. You get a pretty decent bezel. You get pretty decent lume, by the way. I do want to mention the lume is not that bad. It looks good on my 7.5 inch wrist. And of course, you're getting an automatic movement, that's System 51. But it's all about the look of this watch. You're not buying it because of its functionality. You're buying it because it looks like a very expensive watch, and that is the 50 Fathoms. Some people are gonna say, hey, for $400, you can go buy a micro brand watch that's actually durable, something that you can actually go diving with, and I completely agree with that. If this is gonna be your everyday watch, do not buy this watch because it's not gonna last you a very long time. Go and buy a $500 or $400 micro brand diver that will last you basically a lifetime. This will not. If you wear it every day, it's not gonna last you a very long time. And that's just the truth. Anyway, tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of the 50 Fathoms Swatch collaboration? What do you think of the Ocean of Storms, the specific version in black? I think it's the best one out of the lot. Tell me what you think. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.